In today's episode, I'm joined once again by Zak Hanshew. Today, we're going through a 12-team, 9-category draft with a bit of a twist. So we'll see how that goes. Let's do this.
I could bet all of the riches that I ever had.
G'day, guys. Thanks for joining me for another episode of the Clutch Time podcast brought to you by Fantasy Basketball International. I'm Adam King, your host. You can find me over on Twitter at AdamKing91 and check out all of our content at the website www.fbibasketball.com. So as I said, today we're going through a 9-category, 12-team mock draft with a bit of a twist. So we've got the rosters are 14 deep. But we actually have all flex positions today. So a lot of punting, I'm assuming. It's going to be interesting. I just thought this might be a nice experiment to see if when everyone is punting or potentially punting, how that impacts ADPs. So we'll get Zak in here. Look at that. It worked. Turn him on. There you go. Morning, evening. I don't know, what time is it there? 8 o'clock. So good evening. How are you, sir?
Good evening, good night, good morning. How are you, man? I'm doing well.
Yeah, good. Look, excited about this. It looks like the draft room is full. Everyone is present. So that's always a really good start when we're doing these mock drafts, because often that isn't the case. So we had a quick chat beforehand, but going into a draft like this, which is sort of uncommon, you said you're going to go pretty wild. So I'm assuming you've got some sort of strategy in mind that you're going to try out tonight. Are you going to give us any clues, or just drop it on us as it happens?
I'll spill the tea, man. I'm gonna attempt the quad punt tonight. I'm gonna try to go for points, steals, assists, free throw percentage, and threes. I'm going to try to win those 5 categories, and get rid of the big men, go for some elite guards at the beginning, and build my team the rest of the way.
Yeah, that's actually a favorite strategy of mine. I do that in just normally in leagues. So it's doable, and it's a lot easier in a format like this because you don't have to worry about filling that center spot or that forward spot. So, all right. If you're doing that, I might have to do the opposite, because otherwise we're going to be stealing each other's players the whole way through the draft. So,
right.
Look, I'll bring up the draft board. There we go. And now I'm not actually running the draft, so I'm just going to message B-Dubs. So B-Dubs running the draft for us, and he's in the draft as well. And we might actually get him onto the show during the draft just to have a chat about his strategy. All right, looks like we're good to go. 30 seconds. Yep, so he's going to get that going. So you're picking at pick 5, and I'm at pick 7. So you'll be going guard first up. So any targets? I mean, there might be a couple of guys available, but who have you got your eye on?
At 5, obviously, I don't think Luka's going to be there. That's who my first pick would be. But if he's not there, I'm going to go Tyrese Halliburton. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay, so that's probably not the guy I thought you'd say, because that means, you'll obviously then have to get some points, because if you're punting your big man stats, you're going to need points. So your second, third picks will have to be guys that are scoring sort of like a Ja Morant or something like that. Although his free throw percentage isn't the best, but all right, let's see. So we've got a few analysts in this league, sort of a mixture, half. So half analysts, half our FBI sort of community. So we're just waiting on Dan Titus. He has the first pick, and is he here? Okay, well, we're waiting. He's not green on the screen, so he was here.
Let me message
I
him
mean,
and
he'll get
see.
Jokic as an auto draft,
Yeah,
so it really doesn't
right.
matter. Yeah, okay.
And
So he auto
there he
drafted. So
is.
we'll wait. We'll see. Hopefully he'll be back in for the next pick.
There you go.
Yeah, Giannis at 2. No real surprises there.
Yeah.
Probably going to be Luka here. I would take Luka here, but we'll see who Grimmer goes with. Plenty of options, as we've seen in all the mocks that we've done so far. There we go. Luka goes at 3. So no Luka for you. You're going to get Halliburton. I mean, I doubt very much that Halliburton's going to go at pick 4 here.
I'm going to see who's left here because James Harden is somebody I also would like to get. I think he's undervalued this year, and Halliburton might come around back to me. We'll see.
We'll see. So there you go. So Harden goes. Okay, so you're not taking Harden.
Shit. Okay.
So I guess it's Halliburton if you want Halliburton, or
you know what? I'm going to take a chance. Halliburton is my favorite pick right here, but I'm going to go for the quad punt. I'm going to go for a guy that'll give me points, free throw percentage, assists, steals, and will lead the league in 3-pointers again. So that's the pick.
Yep. Okay. Steph Curry at 5. So no, look, that's relatively safe there with your build as well. So now it's on to me. So I said to you before, I haven't had pick 7 at all this year. So this is a new space for me. So I've got. I'll probably be doing a quad punt as well. Just not sure on what. I like doing a punt similar to you, but if I do it, we're going to be, it's not going to work. So I might go with, none of these guys excite me. You know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to go with LaMelo Ball, and I'm just going to try and punt the same as you, and we'll see how we go.
Right.
We'll see how we go. I was probably looking at LaMelo or Kevin Durant there. But I just like LaMelo in terms of total value. I think a little bit more confident that he'll play more games. So,
no interest in Towns there.
No, look, I don't know, a little bit down on Towns this year, just because I think his scoring probably takes a bit of a hit. His rebounding probably takes a bit of a hit, but I think in roto leagues he's better this season because he doesn't really hurt you anywhere. Fairly durable. So yeah, look, I still see him as a first round guy, but more towards that back end of the turn there. So Jason Tatum went to B-Dub at pick 8. So it'll be interesting to just keep an eye on. There goes Towns at
there he is.
Pick 9. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to just keep an eye on the builds here to see if anyone actually doesn't punt. If it's not a strategy that you've done before, then now might be the time to experiment, but it might also not be. We do have money on this league, so there was a $5 entry, which isn't much, but it just makes it a bit more interesting. Halliburton goes at 11. All right.
Mm.
And Lillard goes at 12 with Trae Young. Okay, there's someone else potentially punting big. So they will. Okay, I was just reading some messages from B-Dub there. LeBron at pick 14. So I'm going to be picking ahead of you. I'm just going to have a look at. I hate drafting and hosting. It's so hard to do. My brain is a little bit simple. It doesn't work on many tasks at once. So, where are we? Okay, so I'm figuring out my punt build here.
Gobert early.
So Gobert early, but pairing with Towns. So that's
Ooh.
potentially an example of, and this is what I'm sort of hoping to see, is how ADP or how draft position alters when people are punting. So if you've got Cat, you're obviously going for rebounds, blocks,
Yeah.
field goal percentage. Gobert fits that build really well here. So so it's Durant and
That's
Irving is an interesting pairing there. Two Brooklyn guys that could miss some time. We'll see how that one turns out. So I'm going to look at here. So obviously I'm looking at a guard after B-Dub makes his pick.
Adam, do we have a cool nickname for? Are they called the Min Towers? Do they have a cool nickname? Towns and Gobert.
I don't think they do yet, but we could go with the Min Towers. I haven't heard of one, so we'll run with that for now. Oh, it's
All
on
right.
me. Okay, so I'm obviously looking at a guard here, and if based on the draft room and what we can see on the screen here, my best option is potentially a Ja Morant or a DeJounte Murray. So I'm actually going to go not a guard, but I'm going to go Anthony Edwards. Bit high, but he'll get me points. He'll get some steals. He'll get a few assists, solid from the free throw line, and hit some threes. So not a guard specific, but I think a couple of these guys that I like may come back to me. Well, depending on who you take here. So there, we've got another punt there. Taco Tuesday has drafted Joel Embiid and Anthony Davis. So he's obviously in a smart move, drafting between us. He's gonna target big men, which we aren't.
Sure.
So step us through what you're thinking here.
So I've queued some guys up here. I like Moran. I like DeJounte Murray, but free throw percentage, same with SGA. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I win threes just off of my first two picks. I'm going to be very competitive with points, free throw percentage, my assists, my steals are going to be great. And the guy's going to get a buttload of minutes here.
Yes, he will. Toronto basically run a 5-man rotation, so he'll be playing. He'll just be playing until his knee blows out or something, like tends to happen every year. So you're going to get, plenty of threes, assists, steals, nice chunk of points. So Paul George went next. So no sort of huge outliers in terms of where people are being drafted, other than possibly Rudy Gobert going early. But as we sort of touched on, that's a good pairing with Towns. Ja Morant just went. So Grimmer is obviously going a similar punt path to us with Doncic and Ja Morant. There's going to be a lot of sniping here, I think.
And I think George, that's early for Paul George. I don't know. I wouldn't feel confident taking him there.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Paul George is an interesting one. I haven't got him anywhere. There goes Kawhi, so 2 picks later. I haven't got either of those guys. I don't mind Paul George that area. I'd probably like him a little bit later, a few picks later than that. But again, in a format like this, alongside Harden, Paul George will give you those guard stats. But contribute. I mean, taking Harden and Paul George in your first 2 picks doesn't rule out being competitive in rebounds either, because they're both decent rebounders. So we're just waiting on Dan. Although I don't think he's here though, is he? So he's going to get. Doesn't look like he's here anyway. His circle's not green, so he's going to get auto drafted. DeJounte, I assume, if we're going by the draft room here, he'll get DeJounte and Donovan Mitchell, which is a bit annoying because, there we go. Oh, yeah, auto picked.
Let me shoot
You've
him a
got,
message and see if he's available.
yeah, see if he is. We can rewind it if we need to.
Yeah.
Sounds like you've got some little people running around in the background there.
Oh yeah, my yeah. 4 little goofballs upstairs are still a little bit wound up today.
Yeah. Auto, do we rewind? I don't know. Do we want to rewind? We could draft. Well,
let's see if
we
he
could draft
messages me
for
back.
him based on his first pick, but I don't know. We don't want to be rewinding every time either. Beat Up's just asking. So B-Dub has undone that last pick. So, yeah, we'll just see what we want to do here, whether we want to... I don't know. It's always hard when someone else isn't here. Okay, B-Dub's going to get someone else in.
Okay, there you go.
Or did he... is he... No, he's not in. Okay, so B-Dub's going to get someone else in. So I'm not sure whether he's going to pause the draft here or not. He's in and made the pick. His circle's still not green, but maybe he did make the pick. Okay. All right. Well, it looks like we're just going to keep going. So you'll be up before me here, obviously targeting a guard again. Who have you got? We can't see your queue, and I don't even have a queue. So who have you got in your sights?
So right now, I'm hoping none of the 3 guys picking. Oh, Cade! Wow, I picked 26. That's far too early. He'll never live up to that. I am looking into Darius Garland right now. That's a guy that I think, even with Donovan Mitchell, I still think if I can get him right here around pick number 30, 31, that's a great value. And all the stats that I'm looking for, he is very strong in.
Yep. That's probably who I'd be going here if you didn't take him. Yeah, look, there's a few guards here that if you look at them in a vacuum, they're probably going to be a reach, but punting. So a couple of guys that I'm looking at here might be like a Terry Rozier, bit high, but fairly consistent, good percentages. He'll hit threes. Doesn't get a lot of assists. So that actually, I might. That's the thing when you go a hard punt like this. If it's a quad punt or a triple punt, all right. Well, you're not going Garland.
Come on.
Maybe let's not talk about your strategy because maybe he's reaching.
Who is that? I thought that was Josh, but I know you said
was
he
Josh.
couldn't make it.
Yeah, it was Josh, but because he couldn't do it, so we got someone in to take over his team. So, yeah, I'm not. I'm going to look for assists here because doing a quad punt like this, you need to obviously make sure you're really strong in your chosen categories. Mm-hmm. And it's something like assists early in the draft. If I'm to overlook them slightly here, then they're going to be hard to get later in the draft, especially with multiple teams choosing the same sort of strategy. So I may need to reach a bit here to get assists. And I was just about to click Chris Paul to add him into my queue, and then his name disappeared. Excellent. Yeah, so who am I going to look at here? For assists. Okay, so... yeah, I don't like this range at all. Actually, you know who I might go? It's probably a little bit high, but I'm going to go Drew Holiday. Probably not. I don't know. Drew Holiday doesn't excite me at all. So very boring pick. But what did I get him at? What pick's that? 31. That feels like a safe range for him, around pick 30. He's not going to get a ton of points, but he'll get assists, he'll get steals. Pretty efficient. Doesn't hit a lot of threes, but they are a category that you can get later in drafts, 3-pointers. Even if people are going with this punt, there's plenty of 3-point shooters that are available later in the draft. So B-Dub's on the clock now. So far he's gone Tatum and Booker. So potentially leaning into this sort of guard punt or big man punt, guard heavy roster with someone like with Tatum. Again, he's a forward, but he does get you some of those sort of guardy kind of stats. So he's gone Siakam. Okay, there we go. Jared Allen with Towns and Gobert. So that he's obviously going into big men there. Would you? So I was in a draft I'm currently in a slow draft, and I think it was at about pick 48, something like that. And I had the choice between Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, and I went with Mobley. Which way would you lean there? Who are you leaning out of Jared Allen and Evan Mobley?
Honestly, man, I think it's dependent on your roster. I mean, I can make the case for either. I think in a vacuum, I'm going Mobley, but I think depending on your build, I think Allen could be the better play, just because what he does, he's so elite for those traditional center stats: the field goal percentage, the blocks, the rebounds, and he's okay with points, low turnovers, won't kill you in a bunch of categories. I mean, so that's probably where I go. I think the hype train on Mobley has kind of gotten off the rails a bit right now. I mean, I think like we're working on our staff rankings for NBC, and I think I'm like the lowest on him. I think I have him ranked like 50th or something. So it's
I like him around that pick, around the turn there on the fourth. So around 50. I think he's good. And the reason I went with him was I think there's a little bit more upside, and I needed blocks. And I don't know. I think he could potentially average 2 blocks a game this year, or at least go close. And Jared Allen's a good shot blocker as well. But I just lean Mobley, but I think they're quite comparable at that spot. So we've got so after Jared Allen, we had Sabonis, Porzingis, and Bradley Beal. Interesting to see here where Robert Williams goes. So we had the news this morning that he has had some minor knee surgery, but slated to miss 4 to 6 weeks, and we're about 4 weeks out from the start of the season, I think, today. So potentially he could miss the opening 2 weeks, and we know that knee injuries aren't a new thing for him. So I'd be surprised if he's sort of back as expected. I would think that they'll be a little bit cautious with him. But in terms of your projections for him, like how does this news impact where you might take him in a draft?
Definitely won't take him as soon as the 3rd or 4th round, where I think I would have felt good taking him before. I think probably, honestly, he gets knocked down a couple of rounds, so I would say probably round 6, I would start feeling comfortable taking him. But I mean, you can't feel good about a guy that's kind of battled injuries and is now going to miss the start of the season.
Yeah, no, he was generally going too high for me in drafts anyway, so I don't have him anywhere. And he's one of those guys who his value is so dependent on 1 or 2 categories. So he really, he's a specialist, and so you're only going to be targeting him if you're chasing certain stats. But I think what it does do, not having him there sort of in this range, sort of 3rd, 4th round, is just puts a bit more importance on blocks. So guys like Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, Rudy Gobert, there's a chance that people might be reaching even higher for them now, just because to get those elite shot blockers. Someone like Miles Turner as well, who just went off the board, probably gets a small bump as well. So, we might see Robert Williams' ADP fall slightly, and then some of those block specialists, they might rise. Franz Wagner, ooh, that's early.
How are you feeling about Suns' team here? Because he's going to be super competitive with rebounds, field goal percentage, blocks, and turnovers. But where's he going to make up that fifth category in a head-to-head?
Yeah, that's actually the reason. Am I on the clock? No, I'm not. No, I'm not on the clock yet. That's actually the reason in standard 9 cats, I tend to go with the guard heavy roster, because if you sort by points, having a look at projected scorers or scorers from last season, it does favour guards quite a bit. So it's a lot easier to get 5 categories with guards than it is with bigs, because there aren't a lot of big guys that score. So if you are doing a quad punt, it always has to be guards, really. So this is me on the clock again. I'm just having a look at my team. So my points aren't awesome here. So I'm going to. Oh, where is he? So I get probably, about right, maybe. So Terry Rozier, I said I was looking him with the last pick, and he came back to me here. So I'm okay getting him in the 4th round. He's been really good the last 2 years. So, and I think with Miles Bridges potentially out, I still don't think we have word on Miles Bridges, do we, in terms of exactly what's happening? But
he has a rescheduled hearing for, I believe it's the 30th. Something that's been rescheduled a bunch of times. So I mean, he's facing some serious prison time, if he ends up being convicted. So
and you're on the clock here, so.
Oh yeah, man, I'm gonna go with. I don't like drafting this guy super early, but I do need to make some points up here, and he also gives me assists and steals. Not so great with 3-pointers, not so great with free throw percentage, but I kind of shored that up early in the draft. So it's Swiper for me.
Yep, I like him there, actually. Especially, I mean, as we said, we're punting. So,
yeah.
Cade. So B-Dubs just popped that up on there, I think. Cade projected top 30 on Josh's rankings. So, yeah, look, Cade's going. This is where he's going. He is going top 30. I don't know if that's a bit high. I like what he brings, though, in terms of a balanced approach with fantasy. So he'll get you 5 or 6 assists, 5 or 6 rebounds, 25 points, a steal, decent percentages. He'll hit some threes. So he sort of ticks a lot of boxes. So
I think you have to be in that build, though. I mean, I think if you're not using that specific build where you're punting turnovers and field goal percentage, I can't imagine a round where you're taking him in the first 3 rounds because he's essentially Russell Westbrook light with those type of categories with the turnovers and the field goal percentage. So
yeah. So let's have a look at some of these builds now that we've got going on. So after you took De'Aaron Fox, Vucevic went, followed by Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. So we've got a few guys that are clearly punting, and then we have still got some teams that are probably going more of a balanced approach here. So, it's interesting that not everyone is opting to punt. But as I said, if you haven't done it in the past, it is something that takes a little bit of practice to do it well. So there goes Mobley. Okay, I like Mobley there. Desmond Bain, where are you on him this year? I know he's been sort of sliding a little bit after his breakout season. So I think, so what pick are we at here? 49? That feels about right for Bain, I think.
Yeah, that feels good. I mean, I think if he's sliding that much, I'll gladly take him right here. If that's my pick at the fourth round turn, fifth round turn, I'll take him there. As you mentioned, man, broke out last year, and they're going to be missing Triple J for a little while this year. And they got rid of DeAnthony Melton, so there's going to be even more 3-point opportunities available for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the concern is that I guess teams are going to scout for him a little bit now, and so he won't get as many good looks. But I think, I mean, Jaren Jackson's obviously not there for a while, so they're going to need scoring. Yeah, I think he'll be fine around that 50 mark. Oh, what's B-Dub doing here? He's undoing some picks. We did get another commissioner or another manager in. So yeah, Dan Titus has gone AWOL, and we got someone in to replace him. And we've just done a couple of those picks. So Bain is available again. It looks like he wasn't picked. Scotty Barnes went, followed by Jaylen Brown instead. So you're coming up again in 3 picks. Don't tell us who you're going to go for, but it's obviously going to be a guard, because we don't want Hat on a Hook to steal your pick again, if that is what's been happening. There goes Bain. Nice.
There goes Bain.
So yeah, let's keep your pick a secret, but I won't. So CJ McCollum, another solid sort of guy there. Now I'm going to have a look. I'm probably going to go. I might have to reach for my guy here. I think
I'm going to make a bit of a reach here as well, but this is a guy I'm super excited about this year, and I think he can live up to the draft pick, and he fits well with my build.
Yep. Yeah, in a standard draft, that would be a bit of a reach, as you said, but in a build like this, I think it's perfect. So it was Colin Sexton, for anyone that can't see the screen. Colin Sexton went, followed by John Collins. So I'm going to go, I think I'm going to go. Yeah, he doesn't get as many points as I like, but where is he? I could just search, couldn't I? That would be easier. I've been sort of spruiking this guy pretty hard as a top 50 player this season, so I'm going to take Devin Vassell here. As I said, not a heavy scorer. I don't think he's going to sort of get you 22 points a game, but he'll get 18 points, I think, 17, 18 points, 3 threes. Could get 1.5 steals. That would be a bit of an added bonus. And a handful of assists. So, yeah, no, I like Vassell here. I think I've picked him.
Where do you stand on him versus Keldon Johnson?
I'm in the Vassell camp there. In a vacuum, I think Keldon Johnson's going to score more. He'll get some more rebounds. I just like the fact that Vassell does a little bit more across the board.
Mm-hmm.
But both guys are going to be playing 35 minutes a night. So, yeah, I think either at this sort of spot is fine. Trey Jones is obviously the other one there. What are your thoughts on Trey Jones this season?
I'm really high. Yeah, I'm really high on Trey Jones. I mean, I think he can be a top 100 player. I'm not going to draft him any sooner than probably, in that 90 to 100 range, because I think you can get him there and maybe even a little bit later. But, I mean, the small sample size that we've seen from him, I mean, he's like tease a triple-double every night type of guy. So I think that's very exciting, and you got to love the opportunity that he has in San Antonio.
Yeah, the Spurs are going to be really interesting in terms of their rotations this year because, I mean, there's so many unknowns. We've got the guys we've just talked about are obviously going to get good minutes. Jakob Poeltl's going to get really good minutes as well, but are they going to look to trade him at some point? I don't know. And if so, who are we looking at for their center spot if he is traded away? So Lots of questions for the Spurs. Ben Simmons went off the board there for Sun. So I'm just looking at his build. Yeah, look, it's interesting pick for his build. Obviously gets the rebounds and field goal percentage, but doesn't really get blocks. Turn the ball over a little bit more than your standard sort of big man, because he is going to have the ball in his hands, even though he's probably not playing point guard. He will be running the point at times. Jonas Valanciunas, Mikal Bridges next. I mean, any of these picks sort of jumping out at you? I mean, even though we are punting and people are reaching and that sort of thing, I haven't seen anything too outlandish.
Nothing wild. I kind of just had to do a little bit of a yawn right here with Mikal Bridges. I mean, it might be like the most boring mid-round pick you could make in a fantasy. I mean, it's totally safe. It's totally sound pick, but I mean, it might be the most yawn-worthy pick in fantasy hoops. Simmons, I looked at. I mean, I definitely took a long look at him, but that free throw percentage just tank my build. So that was a no. It is interesting though how many assists he might potentially get as a guy that you can get a little bit later in drafts, which is pretty helpful.
He's a tricky one, Simmons. He's a tricky one to fit into any punt because he doesn't do the right things. He sort of doesn't give you your typical forward stats or big man stats, but also doesn't give you your typical guard stats. He's a really tough player to squeeze onto a roster. Şengün went next at pick 62. How high are you on Şengün? Would you go this high on him?
Yeah, I would have to look back through my rankings, but I think I have him in the top 55. So love that pick. I'm absolutely fine with that. I think he's going to have a breakout season.
Yeah, I was sort of one of those guys last season that held on to him the whole way through, even though he was, and I was punting, so he did fit my build, which gave me a bit of wiggle room in terms of value, even though he was only playing 18 minutes some nights. But I just think the upside is there. The playing time is going to be there. He's not Nikola Jokic, but he has a similar skill set. Obviously a few tiers down, but he'll get you assists. He'll get you a steal and a block. He'll hit a three. He'll score. He'll get some rebounds. So, no, I really like him. Oh, I'm on the clock. All right. So who went? So Jakob Poeltl went. Jalen Green went after Şengün, followed by Poeltl and Anunoby. So I'm, looking at my team here. I probably need to. I don't know. I probably need to work on my points a bit. I've got a few guys in here: LaMelo Ball, Drew Holiday, Devin Vassell. They're sort of all under 18 or under 20 points. LaMelo might be slightly more, but getting anyone that scores more than 20 points at this point of the draft is tough. Look, I'm going to go, again, probably a bit high. I wouldn't go this high if I wasn't punting, but I'm going to go Tyrese Maxey. Again, he's very similar to Vassell in terms of points, I would say. He's probably going to be around that 17, 18 point mark. So he's not going to help me too much there, but he'll get some assists and, I think fairly safe here in a build like this, but probably around too high if I wasn't punting, I would say. What are your thoughts on Maxey?
Yeah, Maxey's a guy I had queued up here as well. So I have no problem with this pick. And honestly, just in a standard draft without the punt build, what do you pick? 80 here, close to it. I think that's totally fine for Maxey.
66 I picked that. So, like I said, for me, probably a round or so too early. So I think around pick 80 is a really nice area for him. But if you're looking for assists and some points, and then he's fine to go here. So you're on the clock again. So Paolo Banchero went after Maxi. He's the first rookie, I think, to go off the board, Banchero. So we haven't had Jabari Smith yet. Jordan Poole, that's who else. That's who I was looking at as well there. So, yeah, I like Poole here. And while I don't sort of recommend handcuffing specifically, while this isn't a handcuff, having Poole when you also have Curry is really nice, because if Curry rests or sits out, Poole can be a top 30 player for a week or a game or however long it is. So, I like getting Jordan Poole there. Kevin Porter. So was that something that sort of factored in when you took Poole there, that you do have Curry and that Poole will get a boost if he misses time?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Again, I'm looking for guys that contribute to the categories I'm targeting, but exactly what you said. I got Poole right here. He's going to primarily benefit when Curry sits. So I think I wouldn't necessarily call it a handcuff, but it's a nice insurance policy. We'll call it like that.
Yeah. Kevin Porter went next, Jalen Brunson. So some guys trying to get some assists there. Lauri Markkanen. Okay. So,
yeah.
I mean, you went with Sexton, obviously, in the round, and Markkanen fits that discussion of decent player on a pretty ordinary team. So is this too high for Markkanen for you, or you're okay getting him here?
I'm starting to warm up to the idea of taking him in this range, kind of so what is this, round 6, pick 11. So what, pick 83, something like that. I'm kind of warming up to picking him right in that round. He's a top 100 player, and then you're getting in that 80 to 100 range. You can reach a little bit at that point.
Yep, I agree. Wendell Carter. He's a guy that's flying under the radar this season. I haven't really heard anything about Wendell Carter, but he was really solid last year. I think he's established himself as that starter over Mo Bamba. So, look, Carter here, really nice. And probably I still think some room for growth for Carter. He's still quite young, and I think moving from Chicago to Orlando was really good for him in terms of development. But I still think there's probably a bit of room there for him to grow even more moving forward. So D'Angelo Russell went next. I had him. I was eyeing him off. So we're sort of coming back around to you here. Tyler Hero, a little bit early for me, but good source of points. And as I've alluded to, points are tricky to get at this time of the draft. So there goes Jabari Smith. You're on the clock now.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at my build here and who I might be able to target. So my points still aren't great for a build like this. I've sort of only got probably, I don't know, Rozier potentially over 20 points a game, but I've probably only got 3 guys that are getting me over 20 points a game. And I don't have a big scorer. Like, I don't have a 30-point scorer like you got with Curry. He can go for 30 most nights if he wants to. So I don't have that safety net. So, Marcus Smart, interesting. What are your thoughts there with taking Smart? I like him here.
I had a few options here. I think he's, again, probably undervalued just because of the Malcolm Brogdon addition. But, I mean, you look at their additions. They added Brogdon. They added Gallinari, who's going to be out. They have Robert Williams, who's going to be out for a little while. So that rotation all of a sudden kind of shrinks up a little bit. I think the rumor today was that the Celtics are, quote, interested in LaMarcus Aldridge or Dwight Howard. So at that point, they're looking at scraps, right? So this rotation is going to certainly, it's going to be tight. So I think no danger for Smart to, lose minutes to Brogdon or any of these other guys. I think he's going to be just fine like he was last year with the assists, the steals. And, at this point, I need to kind of shore up my steal numbers a little bit.
Yep, yeah, and he'll do that. I mean, we know that's the sort of the foundation of what his game is getting those steals and getting those deflections. So, yeah. So look, I went with Jamal Murray here, and that was at pick. Where are we? Pick 79. I'm okay with Jamal Murray there. I'm not too concerned about him this season. I think he'll be good to go from night one. He might miss some back-to-backs to start things off, but I think if you look at what Clay did last season, he ramped things up and was probably not back to old Clay, but pretty close by the end of the season. So I think give Murray a month or 6 weeks and he'll be back to where he was. That's the hope. So yeah, I like Murray here. He could be a 20-point scorer, which is tough to find here.
No, I think you hit it out of the park with that pick, dude. That's a lot of value for a guy to give you third, fourth, fifth round, value by the end of the year. That was awesome.
Yeah, and obviously in terms of my build here, he's not going to give me a lot of assists because playing alongside Jokic, we saw it from Monty Morris last season. But points, threes, and really nice from the free throw line as well, which is sort of what I need at the moment is free throw percentage and points based on my team. So no, I'm excited to get Murray there, and I haven't actually got him in any team so far. So it is good to get some players that I don't have. Kyle Lowry at pick 83. What are your thoughts on Lowry this season?
Again, this isn't the same guy that picked. It's the same guy that picked Mikal Bridges, Chris Middleton. This is going for the all sleeper team, but not sleeper in a different way. These are picks these are boring the hell out of me here. But I mean, Lowry, I don't know. For some reason, I'm just not super high on Lowry. I know he kind of gives you what he gives you every year, but last year he didn't seem to be himself. He seems like he's kind of entering that final phase of his career. I don't know how much he has left. He's not a guy I would be drafting, to be honest with you.
Yeah, as you said, he isn't exciting at all. And I don't know. Like I'm okay with getting him here. I think this range is perfectly fine. But I mean, you want to start looking at upside, I think, here, and just for me, that I'd look for a bit more upside. PJ Washington went with the final pick of the 7th round, which is pick 84. I talked about PJ Washington on my sleeper show on the weekend. I really like Washington this year. I think he's going to get minutes. He'll get 32, 33 minutes a game. He was a top 100 player last season in 27 minutes or something, and I think he was very ordinary to start the season. So I think if he can hit the ground running and secure that starting role, I really like him as a late center who can hit some threes. He doesn't get a lot of blocks, but he'll get steals. So an interesting skill set, but I really like Washington. Here, Keegan Murray goes off the board. I'm not. I mean, I watched Keegan Murray at Summer League and he was pretty impressive. But how much do you read into Summer League? He's going to get playing time. How high are you on Keegan? Are you okay taking him here? I mean, Sacramento they're just such a dumpster fire that you don't know what's going to happen. But I don't mind him.
I think for that very reason, I have him ranked inside my top 50 actually. So I'm super bullish on him. I'm all for the Keegan propaganda. You can sing his praises from the rooftop to me. I love him very much. I was very hyped about him coming out of college. I didn't think Sacramento necessarily made the right pick at number 4, taking him over Jaden Ivey, or at least not exploring some trade avenues because I think they could have maybe done a little bit more. But from a fantasy perspective, I think he fits like a glove, dude. The forward spot there is pretty mediocre. The front court in general, I'm not super excited about. Obviously, outside of Sabonis, you have Holmes who could do a little bit off the bench. But outside of that, I think Murray's going to feast this year. He's got a ton of opportunity on a team that potentially could turn some heads in the West. They're not going to make the playoffs, but I think they'll be better. And I think his overall skill set on both ends of the court is going to really translate well to fantasy hoops. So top 50 upside for me. That's where I'm ranking him this year.
Yeah. Okay. Oh well, that's interesting. He's sort of one of these rookies that we don't hear a lot about. We hear a lot about Jabari Smith and a lot about Paolo Banchero, but we don't hear much about Murray, despite the fact that he was really impressive during summer league. Well, there goes. Okay, so Robert Williams goes at pick 89.
Yeah.
All right. He is. So. So all right, I'm on the clock. I don't know. There's a player that fits this bill that I'm doing, but I hate taking him, and he probably will come back to me. So I'm not going to take him yet. But I'm going to go with Gary Trent, pick 90. Yeah, I like him here. Again, much like Van Fleet, he's going to play. Are you shaking your head because you hate my pick or because you wanted him?
That's who I was going to take, dude.
Okay,
damn.
That's a good thing. All right, I'm happy then.
Oh, man, okay. Wow.
I'll let you work through your pick here now that I took your guy. But Jalen Smith went at 90 or 91. I really like Jalen Smith this season as well. I think he could be top 70. I don't think he has the upside to break into the probably top 50, top 40. But if you can get a guy here with 2 or 3 rounds of value, I think that's good. So someone just put in the chat, is Gary Trent Jr. a reach? I don't think so. I don't know what he was last year. Let me have a look. I am a little concerned about his steal numbers. They feel like they might be an outlier. But he was the 45th ranked player last season in 35 minutes. His minutes should stick. And even if we see a slight hit in most of his numbers here with the sort of Scotty Barnes coming through and a healthy OG Anunoby and Fred VanVleet, I still think his floor is probably around top 90. So, I'm okay taking him here. So you went with Klay Thompson, who is probably the other guy that I was looking at, actually, Klay Thompson and Gary Trent. So you're obviously not too concerned about his health, and you've gone with 3 Warriors players here. So another sort of in a roundabout way links into Jordan Poole, because if Klay Thompson misses time, Jordan Poole also gets a bump. So nice strategy.
Yeah. And, I think at this point I'm totally secure in my threes. I'm totally secure in my points. So now I'm really going to just clamp down on steals the rest of the way and do a little bit of reaching, I think. And my free throw percentage, I think, is pretty solid at this point as well.
Yep. So Sadiq Bey went, Trey Jones went after you, then Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Jackson. I'm reasonably high on Sadiq Bey this season. I think probably top 80, top 70. He was good in spurts last season, and he can hurt your efficiency, but I think he had a 50-point game from memory, didn't he?
He did, yeah. That was that. It was a Thursday night game. It was the only game on the slate, and I remember it because I was writing up the Dose article for NBC that night, and he went off, and it was 50 points. You're exactly right.
Yeah, I do remember that. I don't remember it being a Thursday. Your memory's better than mine there, but it was. Yeah, so the upside is there, obviously, and there goes Jeremy Grant following Anthony Simons. So it's not Dan Titus, whoever took over his team, takes a couple of blazers there with Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant. Where are you on Grant this season? I think that's probably about right. He feels like a top 100 sort of guy.
Yeah, I think he's in that top 100 range. Absolutely. Again, another guy that I'm not super excited about, but he feels like a pretty safe pick for that new Portland offense. So totally fine right there.
Yep.
And just to echo what you were saying, I'm very bullish on Sadiq Bey this year too. I really like him, especially if you're punting field goal percentage. I think the upside is huge.
Yeah, he's another one of those guys who fits a build like this. So if you were in a league where you had to pick forwards and you had to pick centers, he's actually a really good fit if you're going guard heavy, because he'll get you a steal, he'll get you threes, solid from the free throw line. Doesn't get a lot of rebounds, but that's fine. Could score 20 a night. So yeah, I really like Bay in this build as well. And if we were if this was a standard kind of format where we did have to pick forwards, he probably would have been a target there for me. So it's coming back around to you. And we are starting to get deep now. So we're at pick 100. So you're going to be targeting these guys that are sort of one or two category specialists now. And you mentioned that you're looking at steals as a priority. So there's a few guys there that could get you steals. Are you? Well, no, actually, I don't want to. I've got a guy in mind who I think you might take, but I won't talk about it just in case. I don't want to give away.
That's all right. I think there's a couple of later round guys that could potentially help me out, which is good. I've kind of built my foundation, and now I can, kind of get a little bit wild here at the end. But honestly, man, we're outside the top 100 right here. I'm going to go for upside. I think he can get me some decent. He can get me, one steal a game, and has a good chance for some solid assists and points if he comes back the way I'm hoping he comes back. I do have confidence in this man. Let's see how he does this year for the Clippers.
Okay, so it's John Wall again for anyone not watching. John Wall goes at 101. Yeah, 101. Yeah, I'm not sure about Wall.
Not digging it, huh?
In a build like this, I think it's fine, and he's going to get minutes. So I think you take a bit of a flyer. The guy that I seem to take in a lot of drafts, because I often do this build, is still available. I'm just wondering whether he'll come back to me again. Is there anyone better that I'd like? Yeah, okay. I'm going to go with... I'm just going to search him because I don't know what his ADP is. I'm going to go with Dylan Brooks.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, late points. Health has been a bit of a concern the last couple of years, but Memphis, for some reason, continue to play him too many minutes. So, if he's going to be playing 30, 32 a night, he's going to get me some points and threes, and he'll get me a steal, and he'll do what I need him to do. So I'm okay with him there. So Jaren Jackson went off the draft board next there to B-Dub, followed by Steven Adams. So Adams is actually a good example here of a guy that isn't being drafted in a lot of leagues. I've seen him go undrafted, whereas in a league like this where you are punting, and the guy, so Sun has taken Adams here, and he has Towns, Gobert, Jared Allen, Turner, Simmons, Pirtle, Nurkic, Herb Jones, Adams. So Adams fits what he's doing. Doesn't need free throws. Get him some blocks, rebounds, field goal percentage. But again, I'm still not sure where that fifth category is coming for his build. Interesting.
That's a great pick. Al Horford with no Robert Williams.
Yep.
Good pick in general.
Good pick in general, but yeah, with Williams potentially out for 2-4 weeks, maybe. Horford just gets a bump. And look, I mean, the fact that if those rumours that the Celtics are looking at some centres, maybe they're a little bit concerned about Robert Williams, or they're going to be, even when he is back, they're not going to push him. So he may be capped at sort of 26 minutes a night.
Adam, any of these teams besides yours that you really like?
Just going to drag this down a bit so I can see the teams. Let's have a look. Let me just bring this up. So no, look, I think both you and I have punted well, going for the same punt, and we've sniped a couple of picks, but we've been able to pick ourselves back up off the floor and draft someone similar. So I like our teams. Having a look at, I don't mind B-Dub's team there as well. Yeah, there's a few where their strategy isn't super clear to me, but their strategy might just be that they're going balanced. So, yeah, any jumping off the page for you?
I'm really looking at. I really like Grimmer's team. Doncic and Morant to start, and then they got SGA in the third round. Ingram, Bain, Brunson, Hero, Bay, Healed. That's a solid team. You got points, assists, threes. Be competitive in rebounds and steals. I think that's a good team.
Yeah, I like Healed there actually. He's another one of these guys that's sort of flying under the radar a bit this season. I think there's a little bit of doubt as to whether he fits their long-term plans and is he going to be there for the rest of the year and that sort of thing. But I think listening to a pod, I can't remember which podcast it was yesterday, and I think the stat was something like the last 5 years, the worst he's been, even in 25 minutes a night or something, was top 90. So I think in his sophomore season, he played 25 minutes a game and he was 96th or something. So he's going to play more than 25 minutes. So, yeah, I think his floor is probably sort of top 90, top 80. And he went here at, what pick did he go at? I don't even know where he went, but keep scrolling.
Right outside the top 100 or so.
Yeah, outside the top 100 anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, I think that's really nice value there. So we've had a few picks go off the board since Horford went. We had Lonzo and Isaiah Hartenstein rounded out the 9th round. RJ Barrett, Clint Capella, Vitsa Zubats, Mitch Robinson, and Cam Johnson. Oh, crap, and I'm on the clock. Should be watching, shouldn't I? All right, give me 30 seconds. I'm going to go...
No sniping, man. That's the rule.
No. I'm going to go Chris Duarte here.
Okay.
He's a guy I've been getting late as well, and he started last year really well and then sort of cooled off as I think he hit that rookie wall a bit. But I think with some more talent around him now, he won't have to shoulder as much of that offensive load as he had to. Bones Highland is who I was looking at there as well. So I was going to take him. I should have taken him. It would have been another pick taken. But you're high enough on Highland this season?
Yeah, I think that's a good. I think it's a good bet because that backcourt kind of got really thinned out in the offseason. They got rid of Morris, they got rid of Will Barton, Compazzo didn't re-sign, so it's Jamal Murray and then Highland. And if Murray comes back anything less than 100%, or they ease him in, I think Highland is a 6 Man of the Year candidate for sure, and he fits my build really well.
Yeah, I potentially should have gone him if I sort of hark back to my own advice, where having almost a handcuff, but who has value, like you did with Jordan Poole and Steph Curry. Highland is a guy that's probably going to have value anyway, but if Murray sits some back-to-backs, then Highland gets a bump. So in terms of if I'd thought that out and hadn't realised that I was on the clock with 20 seconds to go, I might have thought that through a little bit more, but Duarte is a guy that I'm okay with there. Fairly safe floor, not a ton of upside. But so Claxton went in between. I really like Claxton there at that pick. I think he could have a top 80 season if he's given 26 minutes a night. And he doesn't have much competition in Brooklyn for centre minutes at the moment. So
No concern about the just the center position in Brooklyn in general. I mean, it's been kind of a wasteland recently, right?
yeah, it has, and they're not like they've got the personnel on the team that they can play without a centre for long stretches. So that is, I think, why I don't envisage him playing more than 26 sort of minutes. Like, they're not going to roll him out for 30 or 31 because Simmons can play centre, Durant can play centre. So they can go with those small ball teams or lineups. So, yeah, I think he is capped a little bit, but I think in 26 minutes, if he can just establish himself and as a good sort of pick and roll player and get some of the, he gets a lot of dunks. So I think, I like him here. Following him, we had Highland, who you took, Bogdanovic, Kuzma, Suggs, Wiggins, Dinwiddie, and Brogdon. Yeah, not a lot there. I don't mind Suggs here. I think a bit of upside for Suggs. Here, he could be a top 100 player, I think. Wiggins, another boring sort of pick, but safe.
Yeah. Kuzma at pick 120, that's good value. I mean, that's a couple rounds early, I think. He's a top 100 guy if he plays really well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously having Porzingis there hurts him a little bit, but I think he showed us last year. I mean, he surprised me last year with how well he played. So, I don't mind Kuzma there. So you're coming up on the clock, as am I. So I'd better actually get a bit of a mental cue together here. All right. So who am I? Okay, so you're up. There goes Monty Morris, who was probably at the top of my list. So I won't be taking him.
Oh, this was an easy one here.
You had you were quick there. You obviously had him ready to go. Oh man, people are picking quick now. I'm not getting much time. So Quickly probably would have been next in my queue there. Quickly and Monty Morris. Not going to really get points here, so really just looking at a good free throw shooter who will get me some threes. And a steal would be nice. So I am going to go, despite having a really good supporting cast, Norm Powell at pick 127. Again, he's not a ton of upside there, but I think, he should play 28 minutes a night, I think, 30 minutes a night, which would put him top 100-ish, top 110. So I'm okay there, but quickly, you were, pardon the pun, you were quick on quickly there, but so how do you see his role sort of developing in New York this year?
Yeah, so report came out that he's supposed to get more minutes to open the season, and then I think they're going to, evaluate and see if they want to continue giving him those minutes moving forward. He averaged something like 26 or 27 minutes after the All-Star break, if I remember that right. And he was really good. So obviously you're not going to get the good field goal percentage with him. But he's a really good scorer. He can shoot threes. He has great free throw percentage. And the upside is there. I think he ended the year with 1 or 2 triple-doubles over the last week or so. That was when him and Toppin were kind of just given the keys and balled out there at the end. So I really think he can be a great guy this year.
Yeah, so I've just pulled up his stats. So over the last month, which was probably not quite all-star, but, last 2 months. Let's look at last 2 months. 26 minutes a game. He was the 103rd ranked player. Okay. 14.6 points, 2 threes, almost five rebounds, almost 5 assists, almost a steal, 85% from the line. So, look, I think the more minutes he's given, the better he'll get, obviously, and the more confident he'll get. I think that's probably been a bit of a challenge for him and a lot of players on New York, his confidence, because they're possibly not given the minutes that they deserve. And we know Tom Thibodeau sort of likes to play his guys. So, yeah, look, I mean, if you look at that, if he can get 25 minutes a night, his floor is probably top 100, top 110, and you got him at pick, 125 or something? 125.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep, no, nice value there. Kongwu went off the board after Norm Powell, Gary Payton, Mike Conley, Rob Covington, DeAnthony Melton, Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart's an interesting one. I'm probably a bit higher on him than most this season. Where are you on him after what was a disappointing year last year?
I'm not super high on Isaiah Stewart. He's not a guy that I'm super interested in Detroit. I know I'm not high on Marvin Bagley either, but he is still a guy that's just got paid $33 million. He's going to be in the rotation. Good things have been coming out of, Pistons beat writers about Isaiah Livers. Obviously they got Jalen Duren, who I think can be a really good player in the NBA. So I just don't see huge upside for Isaiah Stewart this year. I think it's a crowded front court, and he was just really disappointing last year.
Yeah, he was. I probably did buy into that hype with him a little bit last season. And again, I was able to hold on to him for the majority of the season because the team that I had him on, I was punting guard stats. So I only needed rebounds, field goal percentage, blocks. He had some better moments as the season went on. And I think for him, it's really about how they utilize him. And because he is undersized, I mean, let's be honest, he's only 6'9", maybe 6'10". He doesn't feel like he's much bigger than that. So he is a bit undersized to be playing a true back to the basket kind of center. So I think if they can utilize his speed and agility a little bit more and get him out on the break and get him into the offense before teams' defenses are set, I think that will help him. I mean, I'm not taking him sort of anywhere other than a sort of the third last or second last round, but I think people soured on him after last season, and I think he could push top 100 if things fall into place and he is utilised a bit better, but remains to be seen. So B-Dub's on the clock now, followed by me. So, yeah, look, sort of just looking back through my team, I probably have neglected assists a little bit with my last few picks. But at this time of the draft, as we've said, it's really hard to get assists. What's he going to do? I don't know. So I do have a player in mind here, but I hate it. But he could get 5 or 6 assists if he's given minutes, and if just seeing if there's a better option. Pat Beverley would have been who I wanted here, I think, but he went off the board. Yeah, all right, I'm just going to do it because it's a draft-only league. Oh, close that. Yep. So I'm going to take Dennis Schroeder.
Okay.
If he plays, he fits this build. I think it's sort of as simple as that. If Westbrook goes and Schroeder can play sixth man, I actually prefer him in the sixth man role. I think he suits that really well. So look, he might be able to get me 12 or 13 points, 5 assists, maybe a steal, decent from the free throw line. So yeah, I don't love it, but I'm okay with it. Lopez went off the board next, and you are up.
I am taking another guy that fits my build a little bit. He gives me some good stats, assists and steals late here, and he's another one of those sort of handcuff guys who I think is going to play some big minutes in Boston's rotation, Derek White.
Sort of the forgotten man, isn't he, in Boston? I think we've heard obviously a lot about Smart because he won Defensive Player of the Year. We've heard a lot about Brogdon coming in and how they split those guard minutes. But then what about what about White? And I know last season he wasn't, when he was traded and his time in Boston, he wasn't as productive, obviously, as he was in San Antonio. And if you look at his numbers, he wasn't even really rosterable down the stretch, but his on-court impact is really strong. And I have a few friends that are sort of deep into Celtics Twitter and fandom and that sort of thing. And he was key to their push late in the season. Despite not racking up tangible numbers, he's really valuable on the court. So I think for him, if he can hit his threes, that'll make a huge difference, because he just couldn't hit a shot. I think he missed 22 threes in a row or something at one point. So
right.
I really like Derek White as a late pick here. Compared to the next guy who went off, Harrison Barnes, who has zero upside. He's fine here. You know what he's going to do, but he's going to do exactly what he's done for the last 5 years.
Exactly. He's going to play a lot of games for you. He'll play 75 games for you and give you top, 80 finish in a roto league. So there you go.
Yep. So we're almost at the end of the 12th round. So we're going 14 rounds in this one. So 2 rounds to come. Here, Lou Dort goes off the board. I don't mind Lou Dort. The Thunder, I'm not sort of sold on a lot of the Thunder guys, just because we don't know what they're going to look like at the end of the season. But Dort's fine here. JaVale McGee, good for rebounds, good for blocks. Then there goes Westbrook. So are you thinking that Westbrook is going to start the season in LA or not?
I think he'll be on the roster, but I think start is the key word. I don't know if he's even going to be in the starting lineup, right? I mean, that's kind of some of the rumblings we've been hearing, is that maybe it's going to be Schroeder, maybe it's going to be Westbrook, maybe it's going to be, who knows at this point, Pat Bev. So I'm not entirely sure at this point. I think it seems unlikely he gets moved. That's a lot to move. It's a lot of salary dump, especially it's his last year of his contract. I think LA's best served just keeping him on the roster. And if you can get a guy like him off the bench, I mean, hell, that might be your best move, right? I mean, imagine another guy with that much energy and that much potential off the bench. That might be a revival for him. Who knows?
Yeah, I actually think, I'm not high on Westbrook at all, but I actually think coming off the bench would be in the Lakers' best interest. I mean, he's a proven guy that can run the offense. If you can get the ball in his hands a bit more with that second unit, then rather than having to play off the ball with LeBron on the court and potentially Pat Beverly and Schroeder, the less scoring he has to do, or the less shot making he has to do, the better. I think given his age, we saw his mid-range game is basically non-existent, or from what we've seen, he's nowhere near the player he used to be. So, yeah, I actually think coming off the bench would be really interesting. I just don't know if he's okay with that. I think that's the question: is whether he can accept a role like that. Time will tell, I suppose. So you're coming up next. So after Westbrook, we had Jaden Ivey, Benedict Mathurin, Jordan Clarkson, Tari Eason. I love Tari Eason this season.
I do too.
And now you're up.
I was really, really hoping Ben Mathurin was still there for me. I think, man, this late in the draft, the upside is just phenomenal for him. But I don't want to take – I like Alex Caruso and KCP here for what they can give me with this build, but I mean, we're at the very end of the draft. I got to go upside here. So free throw percentage was poor last year, but he only attempted 1 per game. So it bad or not, it's not going to drag me here. I'm going to take a guy that balled out at the end of the year that I think has a lot of potential, even on a crowded roster. Jose Alvarado.
Yeah, he was really impressive last season. We saw in the playoffs as well that they're not afraid to get him on the court. down the stretch to close games, that sort of thing. So I think, and I mean, he got the contract, so he's obviously earned the trust of the coaching staff. All right, I'm on the clock. Yeah, look, a couple of guys you mentioned there that I don't mind. Yeah, I'm going to go for less upside than you, and I'm going to take Caruso there, with mainly with a view to him doing a bit more over the first month or two if Lonzo Ball is out. So yeah, I mean, he's not going to be a big scorer. He'll get some assists and steals, but if he can play 30 minutes a night for the first month or two, then yeah, I'll take that. At this point of the draft, I got him at pick 151, and he could be a top 80 player for that first month or two. So
sure,
we'll see what happens. Jonathan Isaac goes to B-Dub next. A real mystery with him. Are you targeting him? Like, is he someone you would consider here with a late round pick? If we weren't punting what we're punting, are you interested in him at all, or just not bothering?
I think with the final 2 picks of your draft, I don't get upset with anybody taking anybody at that point. So I think the upside is clearly there. We've seen it, but is he a guy that I believe in this year? Absolutely not. He hasn't played competitive basketball in 3 full years. Kind of losing track of that timeline at this point. We haven't seen him in forever, and they just brought back Mo Bamba on a new deal. They just drafted Banchero. They have Wendell Carter. So what's going to be left for him in the front court to salvage, especially coming off, such severe injuries that he's had? So I just don't see a clear path for him.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, we sort of talk about him. I think I've spoken about him briefly on some other shows, and looking back at when he had that season where he was the top 20 player, I think, on a per game basis. But the Orlando roster has changed significantly since that time, and the opportunity just isn't going to be there like it was then. And factor in that he has missed 2 full seasons pretty much, and we don't know. We don't even know if he's healthy. We haven't heard he's not, but we haven't heard he is. So
sure,
who knows, really? Preseason hopefully will give us a bit of an idea. So for those that are drafting sort of closer to opening night, you may have a better idea of where he fits in the rotation. But as you said, with pick 150, you take a swing and you see what happens. As people are doing with a few of these guys, sort of a mixture of safe and upside. Jaden McDaniels, I love him there. Pick 157.
Oh, that's a steal. My goodness.
Yeah. I think he could. Yeah. One of those guys who doesn't have top 80 upside or top 60 upside, but if he's playing 30 minutes a night, which he could, he's going to get you defensive stats. He'll hit some threes. He'll get some boards. Really nice. Trey Murphy. I like Trey Murphy there. I think he was solid down the stretch last season. They integrated him into the rotation a bit more, as they did with Alvarado. Mm-hmm. And despite the fact that Zion's back and they're healthy, I like Trey there. Oladipo, last round guy. So B-Dub's up, and then I'm up with my last pick. Oh, gee, they're all quick now. Everyone's got their cues set. Okay, so I'm... So... you can you get to this point of the draft and you can really just throw a dart and pick anyone. I might have a look at not massive upside, but Will Barton. I think he'll play good minutes. So he doesn't excite me at all, and I actually don't even like him as a player, but I'm okay with getting him there. And you've gone with Davion Mitchell for your final pick. What's his
Yeah.
role like? What do you think his role looks like in Sacramento?
That's a great question, man. Obviously, they added Malik Monk. They added, I'm blanking on him, the Red Rocket from Atlanta, Kevin Herter. They
Oh,
added
Kevin
Kevin
Herter. Yeah.
Herter.
Yep.
Yeah. So obviously, they needed 3-point shooting. They were terrible last year in 3-point shooting, so they needed that. They're not getting it from De'Aaron Fox. They got rid of Tyrese Halliburton. So Mitchell, I still think, has a role because he's the best playmaker out of that bunch behind De'Aaron Fox. He's a great facilitator. He had a game last year, I think, where he had 17 assists, 15 assists, one of the two. He had a really awesome game to close the year. Just really strong down the stretch. And again, this goes back to what we were talking about here. You know, they nicknamed him Off Night. And if De'Aaron Fox has an off night, then I can throw Davion Mitchell in there. And, you know, all of a sudden he's a easy top 75 guy if he's a starting point guard.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think that's bang on there. Killian Hayes went next. He's someone I'm not super high on, but I mean, we have seen flashes of what he can do, but I'm just not sure that they view him as a long-term solution. Seth Curry went there as well in that range. Bruce Brown, he's another interesting one in Denver. I think he's a little bit been overlooked a bit. He was really strong for Brooklyn to close last season. So, yeah, how he fits, though, I'm not sure with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in Denver as well. Feel like he'll sort of be a 25-minute-a-night guy off the bench, Bruce Brown, and he'll give you some of those out-of-position rebounds. Darius Bazley went with the second last pick. And with the final pick, so 168 players deep, we went here when he makes his
Who
pick.
do you think it's going to be?
Oh, let's have a look. Oh, man, I didn't see him there. I wouldn't mind Karis LeVert here, actually. I think if LeVert comes off the bench for Cleveland, I think he could have a sneaky good season. If you can get the ball in his hands, Mo Bamba.
That's who I was just noticing that he wasn't taken. I mean,
yeah.
How did he go to the end of this draft?
Yeah, I mean, you possibly look. My mind straight away goes to Suns team who was going for blocks, rebounds, field goal percentage.
Right.
And he went with Finney Smith and Caleb Martin to close. Bumble would have been a good fit there. So, yeah, look, maybe he realised, I'm just looking at his final picks there, and we said he was targeting those big man stats. Where is the fifth category going to come? And then he closed his draft with Herb Jones, Gary Payton, Matisse Thybulle, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Caleb Martin. So he was obviously looking for steals to be the fifth category there.
Man, I'm shocked that he almost went undrafted in this league. That's wild to me.
Mo Bamba.
That's unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, obviously that's a crowded front court, but he can shoot threes and he can get blocks. I mean, that for a big man, that's what you're looking for. That's wild.
Yeah. Yep. So that's done. Let's have a look at. Oh, can I look at the draft board from in here? I can probably just drag this down, can't I?
And Adam, I do agree with you. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you out on Karis LeVert. I do think if they make him the sixth man and he's running that second unit, I think he could be phenomenal this year.
Yeah, I think the less focus that is put on scoring for him, the better. So yeah, if he was playing in that opening unit, he'd be forced to score the ball too much and be more of a spot up shooter. But if you can put him in the second unit, and I mean Ricky Rubio complicates that a little bit when he comes back. Where does he fit? But I think to open the season, if LeVert is coming off the bench, he would be a guy I'd be targeting late in drafts. So, yeah, let's look at our teams. If I close out of here and look at the draft results by team. Okay, we'll just go through our teams quickly. All right.
Sure.
So there's your team there. So give us a rundown of your team and what your thoughts are, and sort of if you've got any favourite picks or picks you didn't like.
I feel pretty good about the draft. I'm a little disappointed I didn't just go ahead and reach for Halliburton, because I do think he's a top 5 player this year. I really do. I'll continue to say it. I believe in it. That's where I have him in my final rankings. I have him 5th. I overall I like the way I built this team. Some favorite picks. I think I got some good value. I really like Chris Paul there, mid-3rd round with the assists. I think that's great. I like Sexton. It was a little bit of a reach, but a good fit for this. John Wall, Bones Highland, Emmanuel Quickly, Derek White. I think those 4, actually, and Alvarado and Mitchell to close the draft, those final 6 picks, that's pure upside right there. I built the foundation of my team with my 3 steals, points, free throw percentage, and then I targeted upside at the end. I'm really happy with the way this turned out.
Yeah, no, look, I think the fact that we were both going for the same build, yet managed to put together solid teams, good rosters, I think just highlights that you can do it, even if you are punting the same categories as 1 or 2 other teams in your league. If you're across rankings and you look at players' strengths, you can still come out with a good team. So much like you, like I'm happy with my team. LaMelo first. Part of the reason I went with him over like a Kevin Durant, as I said, is his durability, but also I just don't have LaMelo in any of my teams, and I think he's an exciting player to have. So I was happy to get him. Look, I went fairly solid early in terms of favourite picks. I don't know. I like Vassell, as I've said. I got him around pick 50.
Mm-hmm.
Jamal Murray, I got him at about pick 80 or something, I think it was. 79. Yeah. So I really like Jamal Murray and Gary Trent at 90. So those back-to-back picks for this build are really nice. Schroeder, I'll get back to you on that one. That might be a pick that I like, or it might be a pick that I just hate. So this is a draft-only league as well, so we can't adjust our rosters. Caruso, again, a little bit like Schroeder. I'll get back to you on that one. We'll see how things turn out for him. And Will Barton, not a lot of upside with my last pick there, but safe enough. So that'll probably we'll put a pin in it there, I think, because that's an hour and a half. That's probably long enough, I think, for anyone that's watching or listening in. And I have to actually get back to my real job now. So over at Sports Edge, what's sort of going on? I know you guys are still just churning out the content and much like the rest of us getting ready for the season, but anything specific on the horizon that you're doing?
Nothing specific right now. We put the draft guide out. We're still going to be working on some new columns. We have our staff rankings, as I mentioned. We've been tweaking those, looking at outliers and where kind of the deviation is among us. Some guy, me and Ryan Canals over there, who's my boss, both of us have Halliburton inside the top 5, which is pretty cool. We have some guys that are really high on Lowry Markkinen, some guys that really hate him. Same way with Jamal Murray, Evan Mobley. Those are some of the kind of polarizing players right now. So expect to see some content coming out soon about our outliers and our disagreements among the staff.
Yeah, and look, that's what people, readers, listeners want to see. They want to see some debate about players and not. They don't want us to agree on everything. So it's always good when there's some discussion to be had. So yeah, look, that'll do it then for today. So remember, you can just jump over to our website, fbibasketball.com to check out our content. I think Matt Lawson has just released his player rankings for redraft formats, so you can go and check those out. Cool. And jump into our Discord server as well. Follow this podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Go and give us a thumbs up and subscribe. We'll have you on again at some point, I'm sure. in the next month for something. I don't know. We'll come up with an idea for a show and have you on. So thanks for jumping on.
Excellent.
And to everyone else, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.
You just listened to another episode from the Fantasy Basketball International Podcast Network. Thanks for joining us. And for more information about joining our community, please check out our website at fbibasketball.com.